And we're back, and thank you for tuning in again live. Today is Monday, October 7th. It is noon, and you are currently watching the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. I am your host, Jason Leeser, and let's see. I'm just trying to get one more thing ready to go. Uh, and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo at, yay, I got it to work. www.reinventingthetattoo.com. You do not have to subscribe right away. We give you 3 options to try it out for free to see if it's something you might be interested in. The first option is to take a sample webinar from the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, where you get to go through and get a little sneak peek behind the scenes as far as what it's like to actually have a subscription to Reinventing the Tattoo. Or you can go through and get some free advice from Guy Aitchison about setting goals and, maybe goals that you want to shoot for. Or you can take a comprehensive tattoo history course from Jay Brown. For fellow tattoo history nerds such as myself, highly recommend it. It's very comprehensive, goes into a lot of the nitty gritty about how we got to where we are today. At reinventingthetattoo.com, you can also find a full event schedule with full weekly and special event live stream details. For example, if you wanted to jump into today's show, all you would have to do is go to reinventingthetattoo.com, click on the events area, and you'll find a whole calendar populated with all of the streaming links to the live events that we have coming up. While there, you also have access to the Reinventing 24/7 channel, which gives you access to 13 different episodes playing at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is available on all web-enabled devices. Everything from smart TV browsers to cell phones, tablets, Roku devices, Fire Sticks, you name it. It's all accessible via the web, and you can get all of that at reinventingthetattoo.com. You can also find access to a whole host of professional development courses from over 20 world-class tattooers. For example, if you're trying to tattoo a koi fish half sleeve like Andre Malcolm, or maybe you want to tattoo a skull like Bob Tyrell, it's very easy to do. Head on over to reinventingthetattoo.com and you'll find an entire area dedicated to on-demand seminars that you can purchase and view at your leisure. You can also find us in both of the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, as well as our Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel, our Reinventing the Tattoo Roku channel, which has just about 12 to 15 different episodes going at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is available on all Roku-enabled devices. And you can find us in all of the major podcast directories such as Apple and Spotify. Or you can do what most people do and just go to your web browser and do a quick search for Reinventing the Tattoo. And you'll find it all, except for the book, which is still currently out of print. If you can get your hands on a copy, good for you. I've been looking for a while to get another copy, and I can't seem to find one anywhere. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat. And please tag a friend who loves tattoos. We're always trying to help get the word out and spread the message and, get other people involved in this. We have a number of weekly staple shows we always encourage people to tune into. Starting off on Mondays at noon, we have this show, which is the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group, led by me, Jason Leeser, where we go through and we try to work on developing some of our skills, whether it's our marketing and advertising skills or our drawing skills, Procreate drawing skills, tips and tricks. Maybe it's some live painting skills that we need to work on, because as we all know, there's a direct correlation to painting and tattooing. All of that and a whole lot more, and that is here on the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group, led by me, Jason Leeser, at noon on Mondays. Capping off Mondays at 9 p.m., we have a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Sandy McAndrew. And that is only available for people that actually have a Reinventing the Tattoo subscription. Whether it is a Reinventing the Tattoo Canon subscription or a Reinventing the Tattoo Evolution subscription, or you can actually just get you can actually purchase a subscription for the Monday night drawing groups alone. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I did the Monday night drawing groups for about 2 years. And if you look at the work I was doing when I started and the work that I'm doing now, you'll notice a significant difference in the work that I'm doing now versus the work that I was doing before I started the Monday evening drawing groups. I'm telling you right now, it is worth its weight in gold. Definitely got to check it out. Following that, on Tuesdays, we have the Tattoo Weekly Show led by Gabe Ripley, Fawn Baker, and Jake Meeks. And that is where we get to go through and discuss all of the major and current events in the tattoo industry. Maybe it's legislation getting passed, or travel restrictions, or new protocols and procedures that are coming about. All of that and a whole lot more gets discussed during the Tattoo Weekly Show on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. On Wednesdays at noon, we have the Tattoo Now Show with Gabe Ripley, where we get to go through and do a deeper dive into the business aspect behind tattooing. This could include anything from travel visas and marketing strategies to advertising strategies to booking processes, communication, the whole nine. It's all there, and that is Wednesdays at noon on the Tattoo Now Show with Gabe Ripley. Following that and capping off the week on Thursdays at 6 p.m., we have the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast with Fawn Baker. It's a great place for us to go through and share some of our stories about how we got to where we are and some of our collections along the way. We also have a number of special events coming up. This month is the cover-up month here on Reinventing the Tattoo. Join us as we launch the Cover-Up Mastery Program led by Guy Aitchison. It is a 4-week intensive and immersive program focused on mastering the art of cover-up tattoos. Because as we all know, you do a really solid, really awesome cover-up on someone, they're more likely to come back and give you some clean skin. So it's a great way to go through and really help build your skill set, really help you to capitalize on your clientele and expand your clientele base. If you're looking for more information, head right on over to reinventingthetattoo.com. And all you got to do is scroll down on the landing page and you'll find a whole lot more information about it. It is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot recommend it enough. Guy is certainly a master of cover-ups and definitely knows what he's doing. Following that, in a couple of weeks on October 24th through 27th, Reinventing the Tattoo will be live in Hancock, Massachusetts for the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. This is going to be the tattoo event of the year. For people out there that are looking to get better and maybe you've hit a plateau, maybe you just want to gain some additional skills, maybe you want to network with some of the most elite artists in the country and some in other countries as well, take a look at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Just to give you an idea of who's going to be there presenting this year, we have Jake Meeks from the Fireside Network. He'll be doing a seminar. Kyle Olson will be there tattooing. Andre Malcolm will be there doing a large-scale bodysuit seminar. Andy Chambers will be there focusing and also doing a large-scale sleeve seminar. Chris Mack will be there tattooing. Jade Napier, Frank DeMeo, Haley Adams, Amy Nichols, who runs the Apprenticeship Diaries. Sorry, I'm still trying to wake up a little bit. Damon Conklin, John Mesa, Renee Little, Mickey Schlick, Sandy McAndrew from the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, Thea Duskin, Corey Ferguson, Steve Butcher, Bob Tyrell, Marcus Lenhard, Kaya Heitland, Gunner, Russ Abbott, and a whole lot more. We have seminars that include dynamic sleeve design, 3D models for Procreate, Procreate advanced workshops, bodysuit design, taxes and accounting seminars, realism tattooing, anything that you can imagine tattoo related. We have a seminar going on for it. That's going on October 24th through 27th at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Let's see, got a little, yay, there it is. This is definitely going to be the event you do not want to miss. This is going to be incredible. We will have live drawing and live collaborative artwork going on all weekend. And we will be having networking events throughout the weekend as well. Let's see. Would like to go through and take a minute to thank some of our sponsors, some of the people that make these shows happen, starting off with worldtattooevents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. As we know, living in a post-pandemic era, there are still tattoo events and conventions getting rescheduled like crazy. So if you are looking for the most comprehensive and up-to-date tattoo event calendar so that you can see the tattoo events coming to a city or town near you, or maybe it's one you plan on visiting, Lord knows that's how I schedule all of my vacations, take a look at worldtattooevents.com. Would also like to thank tattoonow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development, management, and digital tools for tattooers of all levels. They're 100% competitive with any type of CRM, mailing list, or scheduling software out there. So if you're really trying to streamline your client communication, if you're really trying to get the most efficiency out of your booking process, if you are looking for a new website, take a look at tattoonow.com. They've been doing this stuff for over 20 years. You cannot go wrong. Would also like to thank Guy Aitchison at guyaitchison.com. He is the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Go to guyaitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia, some of his tutorial DVDs. I believe he still has a few custom coil machines for sale, as well as countless paintings and fine art prints, all for sale at guyaitchison.com. Would also like to say a very quick and special thank you and shout out to the Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols. That is the resource that I love to recommend to people that are looking to become a tattoo apprentice. Go to the Apprenticeship Diaries, led by Amy Nichols, to find out a whole lot more. If you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, either in person or virtual, or if you would like to become a sponsor of our community, or if you were just looking for a fine art or a tattoo critique, you can find all of that. And all you have to do is email management at reinventingthetattoo.com. And we will get back to you just as soon as we can. We've got a couple of people watching today. We've got some people watching on Facebook, a couple of people watching on the YouTube. Just wanted to say good morning to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I'm really excited. This weekend, I got a last-minute invite to a show up in the Lehigh Valley. It is the first ever fall Lehigh Valley Tattoo Convention, led by Black Web Inc. Touring. It's going to be pretty awesome. Very small, very selective, very high caliber artists. I will be there tattooing. Devin Coley will be there tattooing. Whole bunch of other really great artists will all be in attendance doing tattoos, and that is in the Lehigh Valley coming up this weekend. Very excited for that. It is kind of last minute. Didn't even know that I was working at it until, well, or remember I was working at it until probably a week ago. So it's going to be a lot to do in the next few weeks. So I do have quite a bit to prepare for. But I did want to jump on today and just go over a couple of things with everyone. I was having a discussion with someone the other week about, drawing and drawing strategies. And I remember telling them, if you can look at everything that you draw and break it down into basic shapes, your life will be so much easier. So I kind of wanted to go over that with everyone today. Because everything in this world that we draw can be broken down into basic shapes. Understanding those basic shapes and then composing an image based off of those can be really, really, really helpful. So I always like to demo flowers. I think flowers are some of the easiest to pick out the basic shapes from. I always like to start out with this weird looking little shape. Basically, all it is a circle with a curved line at the top, and a small little dashed line where you can indicate the center point of the circle. So if we think of this as a sphere, not necessarily a circle, right? But imagine that this really rotates around and then is hollow in the middle, okay? Just to give you guys some visual, um, just to give you guys like a visual direction that I'm heading in. And I do have this on a separate layer. So we'll adjust that a little bit, come back up here. Cool. I think flowers are the best to illustrate this concept because of how easily you can break everything down. By the way, if anyone has any comments, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I am keeping an eye on that, so if anyone obviously wants me to go over anything, or if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. All right, so I did create a new layer. Peony flowers have been very popular in the past few years, so I figured I'd just draw some of those. The one thing you want to remember whenever you're drawing flowers or breaking everything down is try to find the most simple shape possible. Okay, whether it's a square or a rectangle or a circle or a triangle, try to find the most simplistic shape possible. Because from those simplistic shapes, you can always make those three-dimensional, turn a triangle into a pyramid, turn a square into a cube, turn a circle into a sphere, etc., etc. But try to break it down into the most simple, basic concepts and shapes possible. Petals of flowers, I typically start out drawing as ovals because from those ovals, you can then take those and make those whatever you want them to be. For today's example, once again, starting off with my circle in the middle, this is going to be the inner portion where the flower actually blooms, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But the first thing I'm going to want to do is start drawing some ovals in different directions. Maybe I'm going to draw an oval here. I'll draw one over on this side as well. I always like to give my flowers odd numbers of petals. So I'm going to draw one in front. That'll give me 3, and we'll do 4 and 5 here. And I'm just keeping this super loose. I'm not worried about if my ovals are perfect or if they're proportioned or anything like that. I'm literally just scribbling some ovals down on the page because I'm going to basically use these as placeholders. And then I'm going to build off of these in the next layer. What I'm going to do from here, that little dashed line that we had in the middle of our circle on the first layer, this guy right here, that's what we're going to call our anchor point. That's going to be the point at which all of these petals bloom out from and connect to at the bottom of the flower. So from there, I'm going to start and I'm going to bring out a bigger oval and bring it right back down to that middle point. And this is going to kind of look like a really weird teardrop shape, and that's okay, because that is going to be our anchor point for all of these petals. Now, as we move towards the front of the flower, that's where we are going to start to see more of an oval type shape connecting to this center dot. We'll do another one here. And always remember that as a flower blooms, because it is a three-dimensional object, any of those petals coming closer to you, you're going to see less of the body of the petal and more of just an edge of it that's going to take up quite a bit more room. This one I'm actually going to cut down a little bit and round it out a little bit more. And we'll do another one here. And that's why you'll see me draw these horizontal ovals quite often whenever I'm drawing flowers. And that's because this is going to be the outside portion of the petal. Once again, over here, just making sure everyone can kind of see this all right. Okay. Make this guy a little bit bigger. And maybe we want to do one or two more to give it some better flow. So we'll do another one here. And maybe we'll do another one down here. Now what I'm going to do for this next part, and we'll just connect that in as well, is I'm actually going to take this, just like I would be drawing if it was analog. I'm going to throw another piece of trace over top, or in this case, a new layer, and I'm going to make this, my brush, a little darker. And you can still see those shapes that I just kind of sketched in there. Now what I'm going to start to do is make those shapes more complex. So I'm going to start adding from the closest to me to the furthest away from me additional ovals, because I always like to break things down into different segments. For example, if you look at a peony flower, you can almost always see 2 to 3 distinctive parts of a petal of a peony flower. You usually have a center portion and then like 2 side portions. Sometimes you only see a little bit of it, but that's just kind of the way that I like to break things down. So for this petal that's closest to me, I'm going to break this down into 3 parts. Once again, just kind of sketching it in, keeping it loose, not really caring if lines overlap. For this next one over here, this one is also going to overlap a bit. So there's section 1, section 2, section 3. Okay. Here we're going to have a smaller side oval. Well, before we get to that one, this one's going to be closer, this one in the middle. So we're going to do the same thing. Section 1, 2, and then we'll do 3. Here we're going to have section 1. This one's going to go on the inside because that petal is curling around to the outside. So we're going to see the outside of this petal and then inner center portion, and then we're going to do another portion over here. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Same thing back here. We're not going to see as much of this first section. So that's going to be section 1, section 2, and then section 3. This guy, we're going to see section 1, section 2, and section 3. So we're taking one simple shape and we're now subdividing it into many simple shapes. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us automatically some proportion and some perspective from where those petals are curling over. So here we're going to have section 1, outer portion of the side portion of this petal. Section 2 is going to be the big inner portion, and section 3 is going to connect to that, so it's going to be overlapping. Down here on this guy, we're going to bring this down, and we've got section 1, section 2, and we'll give this just a little peek of section 3, because that's going to be overlapped by this petal right here. So this one's going to have section 1, 2, and 3. And as you draw these more and more, you're going to start to remember that all of this connects in, once again, to this center little area that we already marked out on our first layer. Good, 1, and then 2, and then 3. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Now up here where we've got these two ovals, here and here, that's where, sorry if you guys didn't see that, there and there. They're kind of hard to see, but they are in the layer below it, as we can see. What we're essentially going to do is take these, and these are just going to only really have 2 visible parts of it, because they're going to be overlapped and overlapping some of these other interior portions. On the interior, you're not going to see quite as many parts because those petals aren't really fully formed yet. So for this part, we're going to do one section and 2 sections. And let's see. Here we're going to have 1 section and 2 sections. And here we're going to have 1 section and then 2. And then here is going to be 1 section and 2. Now right now we're still just looking at a jumble of like weird looking lines that don't really make any sense, but we can start to see the basic form coming together. So we're going to create another layer over top. And let's switch this over to maybe something a little bit easier to view, like a purple or a blue. And I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller for this next part. Now, wherever we have overlapping circles, good, I am on a new layer, we're just going to pretend that they don't overlap and just draw like a perimeter line. Okay, so there's a perimeter line. There's a perimeter line. Here's a perimeter line. Perimeter. Perimeter. This one's a perimeter. Here we've got another perimeter. There's a perimeter. This would come down there, and then this would come over here. Forgot to adjust for this one. There's a perimeter. There's a perimeter. That came into the sky a little too much. There's a perimeter. So as you can see, we're starting to really flesh out and map out our petal structure, which we've done literally just by drawing some ovals. You know, where you decide to take this from here, that's kind of up to you. Maybe you want to go through, maybe it doesn't really look super full. Maybe you want to add another layer back here. And we'll do maybe we'll add another one in the back if we notice that it looks a little empty. We'll make that a little smaller. Basic shapes. Overlapping ovals. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So now you can already see these petals coming together. You can already see the petal structure starting to form. From here, you can get really, really creative. Maybe you want to have, you know, certain parts overlap. And I'll just draw this on. No, I don't want to do that. So maybe you want to have this come down and you want to create like a little fold to show where some of this petal might be folding over. You can do that all over the place too. It's not, maybe that's not going to fold over so much. Maybe it's going to. Maybe you want to add another little section to this part to really give it some more definition. Maybe you want to add a little bit of a fold over here. Maybe this guy's folding over as well. Same thing here. You know, so where you take it from that basic concept, that basic element, that's completely and totally up to you. Some people will do one of these where you want to show kind of like a fold. It gives it a little bit more movement, where maybe the top part of this petal is kind of folding over. Maybe you want to give this another little inside angle, little bit of a fold over, but not too much. You know, you can get really wacky with it from here. You know, it all kind of depends on what your tastes are and how do you want this to look? How is the petal structure moving? Now, I'm drawing this at a 3/4 angle, right? Which means by default, and I'll do this on a different layer. So because it's on a 3/4 angle, I really want it to have kind of a flow. I find it gives it just a little bit more of a direction. So what I'm going to try to do is fold a few more petals in this direction to almost give it like a counterflow at the top. That way we've got movement coming all the way around, moving our eye from there back down to the bottom. Right? What that's going to do is create a natural look that this is moving in a direction and that maybe it's got some wind blowing against it, or it's just going to give it more of like a dynamic shape and a dynamic kind of view or composition to it. It's going to make it look a little bit nicer and a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So let's go through and we'll refine this a little bit more. As far as the interior goes, I always like to give this just like a couple of little curves just to like break it down a little bit more, maybe some circles on the inside. Every now and then you'll see some people that do like little, I think they're called pistils, on the interior of the petals. You can do that too. That'll break it up. Um, Maybe you want to do that on like the first layer or two, maybe three at the most. These can be kind of nice accents because they draw your eye back in towards the center. Not a necessity, but you know, it is what it is. That's kind of up to you. I'll do the exact same thing with leaves. So with leaves, I'll start out. Maybe I want to have leaf, leaf, and leaf. Okay, that's going to give me a little bit more of a direction. Maybe over here I want to have one, another one, and we'll do one more guy here. Okay, same thing if you're drawing leaves. Start out with basic shapes. I like ovals. I think ovals are fun, and they're very easy to draw because they don't have to be perfect circles. From here, I'm going to, maybe I want to draw a center line coming down the middle of the leaf. You know, and then I want to take this and just kind of bring this out from the center line. Give it a little connector, or we can just keep these separate. Either way works. It's all dependent upon how you want to draw leaves. I always like, if I'm going to draw a center line in my leaf, I'm going to give it almost like a slight S-curve, so that way it's got a little bit more of a dynamic flow. And that's going to help create a bit more of a sense of motion. These are just very basic kind of leaves. Hopefully everyone can kind of see what I'm doing here. And if I wanted to have maybe one more tiny little guy over here, you know, now we're set up for our leaves. From here, we can blossom them out. I think chrysanthemums actually have leaves that are almost like trident shape. So from there, we would just draw like a little fork, throw our leaf buds in there, and then kind of connect everything. These are flat leaves, by the way. They're not super crazy dynamic or anything like that. That would be on the next stage of drawing a leaf. You know, if we wanted to get a little bit more dynamic with it, we would come out, curve in, and then over. And then we would give it like a little fold over. Just to kind of show that, hey, this is moving too. This part would stay the same, so this, we maybe give just like a tiny little bump. This one we could actually draw down at an angle and then draw our leaf in a little bit of a different way to make it look like it's kind of moving and folded over. You know, this is where, once you understand that the circles and ovals that you draw don't have to be just flat ovals. They can actually move, they can bend, they can fold, because in actuality, what you're drawing is a three-dimensional image. A three-dimensional image doesn't always sit flat, right? You have leaves that curl. You have, different wavy shapes along the petal ridges, or sorry, along the leaf ridges. Sometimes you'll see a leaf that has almost like a wavy pattern, right? From there, if we're doing a wavy pattern, just draw some directional lines to show where it would overlap. And if we have a center line that we connect to, and now I know that if I've got these lines connected to this wavy portion, I know that that's where I'm going to shade a little bit to give it that almost like wavy kind of pattern and really create that kind of depth. That would be brought out a little bit more. Sometimes if I'm drawing something that I want to have more of like an edgy kind of look to, maybe I'll give it like some little tears in the leaf, and I'll bring that down. Maybe I'll give it like a little bug bite, like something's been nibbling at it, or like some little bug holes where some bugs have been chewing through the leaf. And then once again, I would just bring, lines from the outside down and in throughout the whole shape. Obviously, if I was going to do some tears or some bug bites, I'd leave these parts out. But I like to do a lot of that stuff during what I call the cleanup layer. The cleanup layer is when you get to go through and you get to add a lot of different bells and whistles. You really get to go through and kind of tweak things and give it certain tiny little nuances that really make it distinguishable to your own style. Sorry, cat issues. But everyone's different and everyone has a different look and feel that they try to go for. These are just some of the things that I've picked up on that can really add a little bit of character to whatever it is you're drawing. I will say this, things are always more dynamic in odd numbers. So, I always try to stick with odd numbers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 leaves. If we include this tiny little guy that I just kind of added in at the last minute. Same thing here. Too big. If you're going to do bug bites out of leaves, keep them small. Just as a little word of advice. Make it look like, a bug was eating it. So tiny little chomps out of it. Nothing crazy. You don't want like half your leaf to go missing because then it's going to look like an animal was eating it. Maybe that is the look you want to go for. That's fine if it is. But I typically don't like to see a half-eaten leaf because it doesn't really make sense to me. From here, we'll just do like a teardrop shape, just as like a basic leaf form. Everyone's got a different way that they draw leaves. I draw all different types of leaves depending on the plant. I like to make sure things are accurate. Well, for the most part. Sometimes it's just, I don't know, I just drew a leaf or I just drew a flower that's not really any distinguishable type of flower, so I'm just going to draw whatever leaves I want. But now we've got a nice dynamic flow to this. We've got a definitive diagonal direction. And that's going to flow really, really well. If we wanted to put it on like a deltoid, we could have ball of the shoulder. We could have this part coming down the back of the tricep. If we wanted to do it on a rib cage, this would follow in line with the rib cage, the outside part of a thigh, hip area, outer part of a leg. whatever. Wherever we wanted to put it, it could fit and it could work and it could move with the body. As far as the flower itself goes, sorry to get off topic there for a minute. Let's get back over here. Typically speaking, what I like to do, we'll switch over to Procreate Pencil. It's a bit easier to see. Cool. Make it a little bigger for everyone. Once we have our basic shapes blocked in, this is where we can go through and do what I call the finishing layer. And that's where you can kind of add different ripples and effects and really give it a peony kind of texture to the outer portion of the ripples. Everyone's got their own way of drawing these. Don't think that there is any one correct way to draw them. This is just kind of the way that I draw them. I like to alternate too between large petal ruffles and smaller ones. For example, if we were going to draw one of these guys, and I also like to give them some sharper points, but it all kind of depends on, in my opinion, who's getting the tattoo. You know, if you're using peony flowers as filler on a really masculine or, you know, very kind of rough looking, very bold style, like sleeve or back piece, maybe you want to give it some sharper edges and points, you know, so we'll do like a little bit of a fold over at the corners. And this is what I was talking about, alternating between large and small. I like to keep a rhythm. So I'll do like a big one and then a small one and then a big one and then maybe a small one, another big one, small one. So it creates almost like a rhythm as you're looking at it. You know, sometimes you run out of a little bit of room, so maybe you got to do it again. Big, small, big. And then we'll just bring that in. From these little indents that we drew, I always like to draw little lines in just to kind of show the curve of that petal. Nothing crazy. I'm not going to try to like really drag it all the way down because then they just look like they're striped or ribbed. That's not the kind of look I'm going for. I'm just trying to indicate direction, right? These are just kind of like directional indicators. Every now and then I'll do a center line only on the inside of a petal just to indicate, once again, what direction this petal is going. Obviously, this is just a pretty quick sketch. This isn't anything super refined, but it's definitely a direction that you can take to really kind of branch off and start drawing your own. You know, if I have a little bit of extra room, sometimes I'll give it a little bit more of a distance, like I just did here. Try to keep them irregular as well. In nature, flower petals are not built perfectly symmetrical. They're not built all the exact same. So sometimes the less perfect they are, the better, because it gives them a more natural kind of look. Um, you know, so having the same count on the same petal of the same large and small kind of little ribs or texture that you're giving it, kind of after a while makes it look static. So you want to try to avoid keeping everything exactly the same, if at all possible. Occasionally, I'll bring one of these out and I'll make it look like it's a little bit bigger, and I'll just bring this down, small and over. Here we'll do a big middle, small, and another big one, small, big, small, big. Every now and then you'll see someone that gives like a little V or an indent at the top of the petal. Some people give them a little spike. That's all up to you. You can add spikes all around. That gives it a cool look. It all kind of depends on your personal preference and how you like to draw things, how you want things to look. From here on out, whenever you're drawing anything like this, it's all basically just a personal preference. This isn't going to be the best, flower in the world, flower drawing ever that I've done, but the whole point is make it your own, customize it however you want to customize it. Maybe you see an artist that's doing something really cool, like maybe they're adding little like, bug bites out of a petal, or they're creating some very sharp rips. That's cool. Um, Maybe they've just got a different way of like segmenting their petals. Maybe they're drawing their lines down the middle to give it flow first. Then everywhere where there's a line, there's going to be a little ruffle in the feather or in the petal. Um, Different people have different takes on it and different styles that they like to do them in. Uh, I always recommend leaving a tiny, like if you're shading them in, I'll actually sometimes go through and mark out where I'm going to stop my value. And what that can do is that'll create like a little bit of a skin gap or a ridge on the outer portion of a petal from which you can shade down from. So if I was going to do this, let's do, and then we'll just smudge it down. Hopefully this helps. Um, I always like to shade my outer petals from the edge down. Um, so I'll start shading here. I'll start shading up at the top of the petal and shade down to the base. From the inside petal, that's where I like to do a little bit of value on the interior portion and shade out. This gives it like a dark to light versus light to dark. If we're looking from the outside or the tip of the petal to the center of the flower, it gives it a little bit of that push and pull kind of dynamic contrast, and gives it a really nice, unique look to be able to go through and say, yeah, this inside portion's definitely different than the outer portion, and here's how you can tell the difference. But it all starts from basic shapes. It's all basic shapes that build and build and build and create more complex images. Hope that helps. Hope everyone that's watching right now got a little something out of that. I am going to get going because I have some convention prep to do for the show this weekend. Hope everyone has a great week and a great weekend. And I will catch everyone next Monday at noon here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo channel. Thank you all very much for watching, and make sure to keep those hands busy. And I'll catch everyone next week for episode 171.